down. Turning up the music when we get a little too loud. Turn around and smile, oh she got the pearly white. So she bout to sell me dry, I need you some Peter Light. We gon' take it slow, hit it while she on the phone. Said she wants some more, keep it on the low. Ay, keep my feet up on the dash. Gee golly, we just having a blast. The future's so bright, we ain't looking at the past. And we just all in the moment, cause it's 100 degrees. Why you feeling down, what's the problem? We just here to be free. Don't feel like the something. Bumping to the radio with the ass so cold as the moonlight glows. No, we don't give a fuck. We ain't gotta change a thing no more.
Warning. The stunts in this movie.
Hey, shut the fuck up!
Two-faced bitches pop out when it's dark. I ain't finna waste time. Up I down, fella spark on sight. That pussy gon' make you want fight. Gotta go wipe it up. That pussy gon' bite. 8 shows and I come home for the payroll. Man, I got hoes that want ass on my dick go. I'm a trooper. I'ma strike like a Pablo. If I need some money, then I'ma make up. Ay. Then I hit up in the back, got it clap in. Pop, 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 pop. She harder than me, but she call me da 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 da. Miss it, Elliot flow gon' hit like la ta ta ta. Your dick game look cause my dick game ba da da da. Fuck that, you might make me lose my shit. Goodbye to the good guy, look what you did, now we don't care about shit. Yeah. Fuck that, I hate feeling dangerous. If you still feel comfortable, then I'm sorry you ain't made it yet. Could've been involved and felt important about yourself, but you had to rock the boat and you forgot the table turns and moves. Why these people around me rather look away than tell the truth? If they tryna tell some lies on me, then I'ma tell it too. All this pain in my heart, popping another apple. Everything black, keep acting like it's casual. Put your pants down, we run to the bathroom. Sorry, we ain't got turned up like the candles. Pussy got me singing, I forgot I was a rapper. Wavy roleplay, feeling like some actors. She don't pop pills, only morning afters. Then I hit up in the back, got it clapped in. Pop, 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 pop. She older than me, but she call me da 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 da. Miss it, Elliot flow gon' hit like la ta ta ta. Your dick game look cause my dick game ba da da da. Fuck that, you might make me lose my shit. Goodbye to the good guy, look what you did, now we don't care about shit. Yeah. Fuck that, I ain't feeling dangerous. If you still feel comfortable, then I'm sorry you ain't made it yet. Suck on the nipples like Bon Appetit. Don't tell me pull up if that shit ain't wet. I got protection, I need self-defense. Pull out my weapon and empty the clip. Pop, 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 that's 3 of my kids. Pop, 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 my son and my twin. She's so wet, I go for a swim. Girl, don't stop, let's do it again. Hey. Just because we were drunk, don't expect me to forget. If it's lust of love, then girl, we don't got shit. Got a wife checklist and I can't see you on it. But we way too young, so let's ride out in this bitch. Then I hit up in the back, got it clapped in. Pop, 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 pop. She older than me, but you call me da 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 da. Miss it, Elliot flow gon' hit like la ta ta ta. Your dick game look cause my dick game ba da da da. Fuck that, you might make me lose my shit. Goodbye to the good guy, look what you did, now we don't care about shit. Yeah. Fuck that, I ain't feeling dangerous. If you still feel comfortable, then I'm sorry you ain't made it yet.
They could never take what you came with. They're gonna try to find 1,000 ways to say the same shit.
We got history. Got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me. Thinking about what could have happened or what could have been. Finally your face, I know it, that a sight to see. Take my time to take your clothes off one more time, maybe. Acting like you don't be calling feelings all aside. Don't know what to make it right. Pictures popping on my mind. All these occasions, let's work it out with me. I don't think it hurts to give another try on it. Ain't nobody here know you like I do. Ask all your friends if they know about your size of shoes. How you like to cry when you laugh, when you off the blues. I moved on but I still remember a thing or two. I know you said give me a hug and I said give me a break. I wasn't trying my best, all the mistakes that I made, I'm learning that it ain't the right move. Learn from my mistakes, ain't that what the adults do? We got history, got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me. Thinking about what could've happened or what could've been. Finally your face, I know ain't that a sight to see. Take my time to take your clothes off one more time maybe. Acting like you don't recall it ain't impressing me. Didn't come to see your friends, I know you came from me. Like your dress but you fit better in my wrinkled tee. We moved on to newer things but we got history. That you got nobody around to make your day better, son. Brighter, don't got too much time, so girl, let's fun. Now and talk later. Put your pride aside and let me in. You know I got better sins. You so good at self-control, but maybe now it's time for change. I've been alone for so long. Got the one, didn't realize good was exist in the world till I lost one. Eye for an eye makes the whole world go fly. Things I was good to feel your lips for the last time. Go and hang with your friends, I put this bullshit to end. I read on your parade and I just wish you the best. I think it's time for me to bounce to. I just wish I had someone to say I'm home to. We got history, got me feeling the nostalgia when you look at me. Thinking about what could've happened or what could've been. Finally your face, I know that it's hard to see. Take my time to take your clothes off one more time maybe. Acting like you don't recall it ain't impressing me. Didn't come to see your friends, I know you came from me. Like your dress but you fit better in my wrinkled tee. We moved on to newer things but we got history. Feeling left out from the pack, you gotta go. Roll 5 years from now, what does even matter? You hope you don't know where to go. Construction every turn up on the road. Live life thinking why it's going so slow. Looking at the clock, wondering why mama's not home. You waited way too long. You noticing the pattern in your home. Fuck all the good times, it's a past tense. I sleep and wake up when the world ends. Those memories, they so hard to forget. Question every day, are we there yet? Gone too far to change, time to get your rollerblades. The smile is worth the wait, here comes better days. All these thoughts I have in my head got me blinded from the sunset. I'm trying hard to stop the rain, 'cause smiling doesn't feel the same. I just called to tell you drive safe. Will I see you in the morning? 'Cause I just wanna feel your touch, 'cause I don't think I had enough. The smiles turn to frowns quick, need a break from night shifts. That's where the hours pass too slow, leave no time to grow. My favorite things, milk with cookies and cream. I swear where did the good times go? It don't show no more. Polaroid photos looking like a movie scene. Thank you for the memories, I don't know what it means. It's broken, don't know how to fix it, I need a minute. I'll never go it like a hiccup, I'm far from finished. Just made me happy, girl, I I need it right now. A couple laughs and then I'm out to picture the sundown. This ain't the time to cry. We don't have much time. Gone too far to change. Time to get your rollerblades. The smile is worth the wait. Here comes better days. All these thoughts I have in my head got me blinded from the sunset. I'm trying hard to stop the rain. Just smiling doesn't feel the same. I just called to tell you drive safe. Will I see you in the morning? 'Cause I just wanna feel your touch. 'Cause I don't think I had enough. On the board, I'm blowing more digits. I haven't started, man, these are just the before pictures. Shout out my parents, my mother gave birth to 4 winners. All of the players in the game, it's always called benches. Been in the studio, I forgot how to sleep. Not trying to make an album, they forget about it in a week. They said the fruit never gonna fall far from the tree. I used to be the kid, now the kids wanna be me. Tripping by my future like way before there was cameras. Hella plans on my calendar before I went all professional. Less social trust, man, these people making me cynical. More copycats and less people sounding original. Same destination, we just took different routes. Fuck being one of the greatest, I'm trying to be the greatest one. I ain't saying I ain't grateful for everything I become, but the throne looks more comfortable than this chair I'm sitting on. My name is Brian Cole, bars is what I'm known for. If my vision ain't scaring me, then I don't go for it. Remember my first days here when it was all foreign. Now I'm on TV with James Corden, that shit was crazy. Just got a place with a backyard, I feel amazing. Nothing can get between me and the dreams I'm chasing. Ain't got the time for partying, no more getting wasted unless you got the 1942, man, then get the chaser.
Ngerek dulu anjing.
You hating on me, but you know I got it. You big in your city, I'm the king of a continent. These rappers trying to make the trending topic. Why the state of music going south, but I don't even wanna talk about it. Let's talk about it. Nah, let's talk about it. Before all these folks decided school to give a fuck about it. Everyone's trying to make hits, I'm just trying to make music. You know the kind that makes you feel when you listen to it. I'm the youngest shot, I don't need more attention. You writing some bullshit, I write the lyrics meant for the captions. I'm making songs that'll probably outlive us for generations. Started off as the sailor, look at me, now I'm the captain. I won't lie, this shit is fun. Tell these Asian kids they could do what they want. Might steal the mic at the Grammys just to say we won. That everyone can make it, don't matter where you from. Can't forget about the day that Sean called me talking about a vision called 88. That he's dreaming, man, I love him like a brother. Every fall we gon' recover, just a man with a vision who mastered and causing trouble. Man, I can't see the finish line. Fall back, I ain't fucking around this time. The guy I know he created a legend in 99. Fuck pretending on the track, man, I mean every single line. Touchdown, never holding back, shining like some buzz down, sailing around without a map. Been the underdog, now it's time to let me quarterback. Killing shit in uncharted territories, man, this shit get hella gory. Whole country of people proud, so I'm never worried. Like just sitting through the credits, man, this is my story. The type of shit that made me cry when I recorded. This is type of shit that still gon' make me proud even when I'm 40. R.I.P. Nipsey, R.I.P. Matt. These inspirations always gon' motivate me to rap. Let's celebrate their lives and the people that they impact. The marathon continues, ain't no way we looking back. Amazon Prime Flow, you know I always deliver. Require soldiers for a change, just to feel something better. Generations of sacrifice, I will always remember. It's that circle of life, shit that hold me up like I'm Simba. They told me I ain't welcome, I'm here to see.
Biasanya nongkrong di GRX main ini. Drone atau farming ya? Perjalanan deh. Orang anak GRX nyariin. Ini. Biasanya main sama orang, main apa kalau nggak main Delta. Delta orang net gede banget jadi jadi main. Ya saya tahu sih ya.
Gotta cut them up, yeah. Fake faces, they don't pop up, yeah. My faith is for the cameras, yeah. Flash, flash, I'ma take a picture from my fan down. Show them I've made it flashbacks to the picture from way back. The kids like, who's that? Who's that? Now I do Hollywood, yeah. Copies everywhere like a walkie-talkie. I'ma run the lobby, speak to nobody. San Gabriel Valley, I'ma crash your party like.
Yeah, you made it. You've been anxious, but you made it. California.
Halo.
Conversations till the sun
Lagi ALGS.
when you stop by.
Yo.
Jom aja jam 7 sih.
Jam 7 main nonton ALGS. Hey.
Ah, bisa di replay.
Hey. Hey.
Dibawa kemana anjing?
Yeah, I'm faded, fake faces. Got diamonds by the bolo. Don't act like you my friend when I'm rolling through my hands. Oh, you stuck in the friend zone. I tell like 4, 5 to 5th. Ayy, 100 bins inside my shorts, a chino the shit. Ayy, try to stuff it all in, but it don't even fit. Ayy, know that I've been with the shits ever since the jit. Ayy, I made my first million on that shit, this is it. Ayy, 34 walk through, man, we had a dismiss. Ayy, had so many bottles, gave a good sip. Out the window of the Benz so we get some in the rent. And I'm like, whoa, man, my legs so goddamn cold. Diamonds when my teeth are sore. I know just let it go. My money, they will never fall. She said, kid, I have some to hold. And I can never tell you no. Damn, I hate to go aside. Call her mama bad like Michael. Can't really trust nobody with all the jewelry on. My roof look like a no-show. Got diamonds by the bowl. Don't get the Tony Homo for clowns and all the balls. I hate to go aside. Call her mama bad like Michael. Can't really trust nobody with all this jewelry on. You, my roof look like a no-show. Got diamonds by the bowl. Don't act like you my friend when I'm rolling through my hands. So I hate to go aside. Crazy, you little mama, she all that baby. 50 on the banky, chain so stanky. Promise I could take your bitch, all her riding in the old school Chevy. It's a dark top, pulling with top. She gon' give me top, just one swing. She can make the eyes drop. Take you to the smoke shop, we gon' get it hot. We gon' hit Rodeo, y'all are Valentino. Take you where I'm from, take you to the stone. This ain't happen overnight. No, these diamonds real bright. Center of the G, still in my pants though. All VVS's, put you in a necklace. Girl, you look beautiful. Stars on the roof, they matching with the jewelry. Damn, I hate to go inside. Call her mama bad like Michael. Can't really trust nobody with all this jewelry on. My roof looks like a no-show. Got diamonds by the bowl. Come with the Tony Homo for clowns and all the balls. Oh, I hate to go inside. Call her mama bad like Michael. Can't really trust nobody with all this jewelry on. You, my roof look like a no-show. Got diamonds by the bowl. Don't act like you my friend when I'm rolling through my hands. Oh.
っていうのが今年は2回連続で続いたので、そうですね、モチベーションにはめちゃめちゃなってます。次は頑張ろうっていう気持ちになりますね、すごく。
自分はもう本当に自分が最強だと思ってプレイしてるんで、いつも。もうそういうのも何も気にならなくなるぐらい集中してプレイしてます、いつも。いや、プレッシャーはそんな感じてないですね。まあ、挑戦する側なんで自分たちはやっぱ。
これまでやってきた世界大会の時はやっぱり海外の会場で開催だったので、ある程度アウェー感はあったんですけど、今回初めて日本開催ということで、たくさんの日本の
たくさん日本の
来てると思ってるので、ホームで戦えるっていうのがとても楽しみです。
モチベーションは本当に自分自身ずっと優勝を目指してきたんで、そうですね、本当にエペックス自身をまた盛り上げたいではないですけど、やっぱここで俺らが勝てばまた盛り上がるんじゃないかなって思うので、勝ちたいです。
Gue Attack on Titan anjing dipakai.
Fate is calling.
Squad after squad, they fall. It's Nathan going crazy with the flatline. Dojo are showing what they're made of with their fists. Timmy with a PK. Phase, they want to take down E6, and I mentioned that Snipe down has the power.
This is all Zane, baby.
Oh my god! To send it right now, and how does it need to be on twice? And Sam are your champions!
運命が呼んでいる。
Viewer anjing. The fuck anjing.
The stage is set. The players are here. The teams are ready. Sapporo, are you ready? Because the time is now. 行きましょう!
Kayak rambling anjing.
Mati.
Woi.
Di Jepang ya nah.
Apa naik ke bagian tiketnya?
Taha lagi.
Macbeth.
Sapporo no minasama, konnichiwa. ALGS チャンピオンシップへようこそ。私は ALGS チャンピオンシップのホスト、ダイアン・ハーツと申します。よろしくお願いします。Hello everyone and welcome to the ALGS Year 4 Championship. I am your stage host and my name is Ryan Hart and it is an absolute honor to be here. 40の世界最強の APEX チームが総額$200万という賞金をかけて戦います。すんごい戦いを繰り広げようとしています。40 of the world's best Apex teams will go head-to-head and lock horns for an amazing $2 million prize pool and of course the pride and prestige of lifting that trophy and being crowned the
Masa
champion.
Jepang anjing?
開催されるのは史上初めてのことであり、本当にすんごいことです。まさにこの今、札幌北海道で始まります。この場にいられて非常に興奮しています。ALGS has been all over the world, covered many countries and continents, but now, for the first time in history, it has come to Asia, right here in Japan, right here in Sapporo, Hokkaido, and I can't wait. A dream is going to become a reality. それでは、お引き続き ALGS をお楽しみください。It's going to be a stunning 5 days of action, and every player here knows that this is everything. And as the anticipation builds and the tension grows, it's time for me, your host, to strike the match that's going to ignite the flame of motion here on day 1 of the ALGS Championship.
From Los Angeles to Mannheim, final destination Sapporo here in Daiwa House. We are ready to begin where many players around the world have coveted to even join. This place, this moment, 40 teams, 3 players each at the championship. We welcome you for this moment. It's so good to be back. It feels like forever, but the ALGS is here with our biggest event of all time, and I'm so happy to be your host. My name is Rainday, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by my friends, my colleagues, some of the best in the business, of course, Glitter Explosion, Snipe Down, and Jamerson. Lauren, this is iconic in a way that it's hard to describe. The feeling in this building is mesmerizing.
Literally goosebumps. The second all of that just kicked off, goosebumps down my arms. I'm shaking. I have so much excitement. I can't even begin to fathom how the players are feeling. We're here. We heard Ryan say it in Japan for the first time. It feels like we've been waiting years for ALGS to make it here. We're finally here. The biggest stage we've ever seen before. I don't even know what this week has in store for us.
And Snipe Down, as a player, as someone who has competed at the highest levels, you were in a little bit of that highlight reel. Snipe Down with a Prowler here. This time, you know, you got your skills on the analyst desk, but to be a player, to make it to the show, it's something, you know, you only get a few times. You can't guarantee.
I mean, this is something a lot of these players might only get one time. We are in the biggest stage that I guarantee any of these players have been on. I've never been on a stage like this, so even being here to see it, this is a giant stadium, like a sports stadium. This is the closest to like professional athletes anyone here might ever feel.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where you got to cherish the moment, cherish it, bring it in, and just know that all the work you put in is right here left on the table.
Jamerson, it's such an amazing thing. As we grow up throughout this, we have our families watching, we have little ones at home, but in the same way, the ALGS is a family also. And to get all the components of it here, from broadcast, from production, to players, to this desk, I mean, it's a massive effort, and it's all for what's about to happen in these next 5 days.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I never thought I'd be able to book an event like this, especially in Japan. You know, young Jamerson is so happy to see old Jamerson here on the desk for this, but I think it's a very special occasion because we all understand that the Japanese community in Apex Legends is absolutely massive. You see the turnout when Hal streams. You have a huge community of Japanese viewers that go to his channel, and of course all the streamers, all the content creators. So I'm glad that we're able to do this here, and like you said, bring it all together in the global family of Apex Legends.
I mean, it's not to, you know, put down any of the things that we've done in our history in ALGS. I mean, we've gone through years of COVID, we've gone through years of, you know, our first events, but this event, it's something special. Just to put in perspective, we've got more tickets sold for today than we had in our finals for Mannheim in split 2 of our playoffs. And one of the interesting things is we're the guests. You might hear a little bit of Japanese through our microphones because we're not going in-house for this tournament. It is a full Japanese broadcast, Lauren, which makes us all that much more special.
Absolutely, and as it should be. Like you guys are saying, like the Japanese community is the beating heart of Apex Legends. We saw how important Asia Fest was when we were here in a totally different fashion. Now it's for ALGS, it's competitive Apex Legends. And this is going to give APAC North another opportunity to prove how good they are on this global stage.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about it, too, as you mentioned that, we had an APAC North win our first Split 1 playoffs in Reject Winity. Can they do it again? And for those who are wondering how that will happen, let's walk you through the format of this event to see even how you get to a chance to hold up that trophy. Of course, our championship is very similar, if you've watched the ALGS, to all of our split playoffs, except it's an extra day. But we'll go from our group stage to our bracket stage to our match point finals. For the first few days, we'll have groups A, B, C, and D, all with 10 teams who have qualified based on seeding, go round robin against each other to determine who has the most points at the end of those 2 days. At that point, we'll split into our elimination round 1. We will eliminate a few teams, and winners will go safely into the next day, waiting, watching for not only elimination round 2, but a chance for them to go straight into match point finals. That will, of course, occur on Sunday, and that itself has one of the more exciting formats that we've seen in esports. Our match point final threshold is 50 points. You've got to get that amount, and then you have to win. So 49 won't get the job done. It's got to be 50 or we go again. What an exciting time. And again, that leaves us to talking about who are our stars in this night. Looking at this overview of the 40 teams who have made it. This is the show, but everyone's got a unique story coming into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is going to be this Falcons roster and how they bounce back. I know everyone talks about them. They once again had by far the best placements in every single one of the online scrims, the most kills. They're the best on every map, especially E-District. That's the map that I think is going to be the most important this weekend to determine exactly who is the most prepared going into this. It's a new meta, a new map implemented into the rotation, and Falcons are above and beyond the best on that. And I think if they can consistently show that this weekend, they will likely come out on top.
Yeah, we've seen teams show up and not show up. Jamerson, I mean, if you look at this, a team may be showing up, but they might just have a different name, or they might be playing with somebody else. The roster changes heading into this have been astronomical. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, absolutely big changes came out through. I think most importantly, it's going to be Moist getting picked up by Shopify Rebellion, or well, merging together, I think is the proper term there. We've also got Disguise along with 100 Thieves. We got Legends Gaming now swapping over to Disguise. It's a real merry-go-round of like all these teams getting changed around.
Elevate going to Virtus Pro, Icholos Lasers joining up with Dragons, one of our South American representatives as well. DSG, big name now.
ALGS.
But today, we get a chance to see all of these teams participate. We'll have A, B, C, and D going at it, but we'll start today in just a few minutes with A versus B. Then in the middle of today, we'll have C versus D. Go head-to-head with their 6 matches, and B, they'll have a doubleheader alongside D. A will have the short day today, B versus D. And speaking of Group A, not only do they have an opportunity to hoist the championship, but they've got an opportunity in some ways at redemption. Will they have made the right choices to get here? Well, our previous champion of Split 2 certainly hopes they will. Let's introduce you to Group A.
Activate that EMP, and oh my, oh my, oh my!
Can choose it. Work the akimbo to clutch it up and FaZe Clan!
Go high.
With these Mosiums able to do a lot of damage.
Oh, Sauce! Oh my god! Sauce! Nocturno! Oh, Nocturno! Oh, he's just better! Okay, they've been as good as anyone but the host! The host!
Firehouse anjir, ngeri.
But evens don't matter when you're hitting stop race players. SSG will become your champion!
Group A, from Shopify Rebellion to TSM to 100 Thieves to NRG. Ninjas in Pajamas. I mean, the amount of talent in here, Snipe, but also the storyline. Shopify Rebellion making that big choice to drop Phony after that, pick up MT, and then have a chance now to go back-to-back for Zainu and Koifel in a new version of themselves that was already successful.
Yeah, I think that Shopify team, they made a decision based on just internal vibes. They wanted to pick up someone that they could, vibe with a little better. And I think this Group A alone is probably the most stacked group out of all of them. The amount of teams in that group that either underperformed at the last event, you look at the FaZe team, which completely underperformed, and then you look at some of the other teams in there. You have the Naskis that's finally back at this event.
Yep.
You have all these top NA teams, NRG back with Guild nonstop. Like, it is a feisty group, and I think it's going to be tough to get out of that.
We'll dive into those stories as the day progresses, but Jamerson, I mentioned them at the forefront. I think let's dive deeper into your one to watch for Group A.
Yeah, it's got to be super important to, of course, mention Shopify Rebellion, right? The returning champions here from Mannheim, Germany, and it's kind of unprecedented to see that kind of roster change after you win a LAN. But like Snipe said, internal vibes were off. They had to fix something up because you have to admit it was a little bit of a slower start. They didn't have a consistent group stage all the way through the bracket stage, and so I think bringing MT in here will be, if it was their decision, like it wasn't the time crunch, it was we want MT. He's what we need. He's the IGL that can go ahead and pilot us into the late game. And that's the thing. Coming in as an IGL on a new squad with 2 new players, you need to make sure that you have firepower so that IGL has the time and the space to be able to make the correct decisions. And that's what Zainu and Koifel do. Playing off of each other, both incredible fraggers, can also play the anchor extremely well, but they just bring the firepower. And I think for MT, coming into this tournament, into the LAN, he'll have the time to be able to get the jitters out of the way while Koifel and Zainu keep the lobby at bay.
I mean, it's good to be able to kind of take on that role. It's not new for MT, Lauren, but it is something that is maybe in a new space. But having Zainu and Koifel, who legitimately are considered 2 of the best fraggers in all of Apex Legends, that's an easier way to start, knowing you've got them on your back. Even if you make a bad call, you might be able to get out of it.
Absolutely, and we talk about how important that trust is in your team, whether it's trust in your IGL or vice versa, knowing that if someone does have a slip up here and there, you are just that stacked that people can kind of clean up the mess. And when you combine that with the fact that you've got two of them coming off of that win in Split 2 playoffs, I mean, right now, they are a team that I think everyone has been talking about in the green room since we've gotten here.
So, some IGLs been celebrated and now joining their chance, creating more chances to be successful and win yet another trophy. Some IGLs may be feeling spurned, and some teams may be feeling hopeful, especially in their hometown. Let's take a look at what Group B has to offer to the championships.
Sliding in, the last one alive, and Fnatic! Knuckles and VK Gaming, welcome for free! Actually able to hold it out.
Oh my god!
This eastern side of QB was absolutely crazy! You're getting the dead
Anjing, strapping flame.
thing though. We've got plenty of bullets!
Oh, anjing masih Muhammad parah anjing.
The only team in APAC North to win a championship so far, at least what we call kind of colloquial championships, lift a trophy in our Split 1 playoffs in Los Angeles, Reject Winity. They're here, but maybe the team we expected to do the lifting before all of that is in Group B. That's Fnatic. And Snipe, I know when you look at this, there's a lot of other teams with stories. I mean, VK Gaming, Complexity, what personalities, and Kimchi and Monsoon. But when you really look at it, in Japan, an APAC North hosted tournament, Fnatic has to be top of mind as your team to watch.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other team to talk about this than Fnatic. We are in their area where the crowd is going to get behind them. There is no other place for them to perform to the level that every single person who has watched them knows that they can perform. This team has been consistently good, but for some reason, it just seems like they can't get over that hump of succeeding at these massive stages. They've been the best in their region, no doubt. They got third in BLGS recently. They got 6th place in Mannheim and actually decided to make a team change after that. And I think the meta in realizing what was going to come had to play into that. So we have Laiku, who is on Newcastle, and he's been just a great fill for this team. This guy's been rock solid nonstop. The #1 person that everyone is just a fan of is Yuka F. This guy is just the most fun person to watch. He's up there in mechanical skill and everyone else. I mean, the shotgun meta, we're going to see some Skittle Cake like S finishes. And then Melstera, this is the new addition to the roster. This person is going to be the reps of the team. He is playing the likes of, he was on Mirage at one point, Newcastle, Gibraltar, Rampart. This guy is doing every single thing that he can to make sure that the roles are filled. It's a different meta, and having a player that can change those roles per map is going to be the biggest advantage that they have.
There's no doubt Fnatic has got a little bit of the crowd behind him, Lauren.
Sure.
It's gonna kick into this. I wonder if you're putting yourself in their shoes, what it feels like to jump into this moment, knowing, I mean, when are we going to get another LAN that is right here in Japan to be able to perform? They got to come out blazing.
Absolutely, and we talk about hometown advantage a lot because some teams kind of feed off the vibes in the crowd. If you can hear 5,000 plus people cheering for you, that kind of changes the vibe of your team and kind of gives you potentially an additional boost of confidence that you might need. And I'm glad that you bring that up as well, because it's not just Fnatic in that group though that does have that hometown advantage. There's a team that I do want to shout out, at least in that group, and that's Meteor. Okay, they are also APAC North, came through in the LCQ. And we talked about just how many different storylines exist right now across all 4 of our groups. Well, Meteor is a team that's never been to a LAN before. And talk about making a debut, if it's here in Japan, on the largest global stage you could possibly compete on. I mean, that's additional pressure, and to have something like the crowd at your back potentially supporting you could really make a difference in your debut group's performance.
Absolutely, and those little intangibles are so important. That's why we kind of lay it up, because getting here, you're dealing with not just the hometown advantage, you don't have to have the non-hometown disadvantage, which we've all gone through, which is we're 17 hours or 14 hours ahead of our time zone, sometimes not a lot of sleep, adjusting to food, which is let's be honest, it's Japan. It's not hard to adjust to Japanese food. It's that good, pretty much anything that you get. But overall, Jamerson, it is a different element. I kind of want to flip gears, though, and focus on maybe a story where, you know, we've had some swaps in Guild, right? You know, you look at Jesco and Legacy, but Phony's the story. The person that many people thought got spurned, winning Split 2 in Mannheim in Germany. Then Zainu and Koifel going on it with themselves, taking MT, and now Phony finding a spot with Guild. It's got to be a feeling where, I don't know, some people might be rooting for the revenge tour for Phony.
Again, it's this really odd year for a curse, right? You do extremely well at LAN, and all of a sudden, your roster ends up splitting ways for whatever reason, and that's what happened. And Phony was left in a very awkward situation because we did have roster locks shortly after Germany, and he had to find a situation extremely fast heading into BLGS. He had to uproot his life, go down to play in APAC South for BLGS. And he's not the only player, right? Arctic had a very similar story in that regard, but we're talking about Phony, the IGL winner of the lap, because it's not just them. There are multiple teams that have this similar storyline going through this entire 40-team roster.
You know, I think it is a great story, and people obviously latch on to those things. One of the greatest stories, if you were scrolling Twitter, is actually presented by It's Timmy's mom. In fact, she already told us who she thinks the winners will be. Obviously, it's no surprise that 100 Thieves is at the top. Let's listen to Lace, who caught up with It's Timmy a little bit earlier, arriving at the venue. The storyline.
My name is Lace, and we are here in the Players Lounge for ALGS Champs. And I am, of course, with the one, the only, It's Timmy from 100 Thieves. Timmy, today's going to be a little bit crazy, okay? So we're going to make this very, very quick. But have you had any sort of process leading up to today?
Like today, we actually boot camped in Korea for the past 2 weeks, and then we also boot camped in LA for a week. So we have a lot of, you know, practice and boot camping. We had nice breakfast this morning, and honestly, I'm ready to go. I'm locked in.
Yeah, you're just moving all these time zones. That's absolutely crazy. Now, of course, for the fans at home, let's ask this again. Which character at the moment do you want to just delete from the game?
Delete from the game? Oh my gosh. I think Newcastle's just got to be deleted. This character is just broken. It's just cringe. It's just cringe.
You heard it here first, guys. It's cringe. Now, for our fans at home and anyone getting into Apex, what is the one thing you want to tell them how to improve at Apex Legends?
You can grab a controller. I mean, that's the fastest way to improve. But if you really want to, you know, improve at video games, you just got to put a lot of time in. You know, we put in maybe 8 to 10 hours almost every single day, and like it's like a job. It's literally a job.
Yeah, see, you heard that. Grab a controller, but this is the mechanical absolute warlord himself. It's Timmy. Thank you so much. Best of luck for the games today, and I'm sure all the 100 Thieves fans will be cheering you on.
Thank you.
You know, I had a joke lined up, but I'm not going to do it right now. It has to do with Designful and being on 100 Thieves. But I do want to say that Timmy and his kind of presence has always been, I think, very tempered in the way that he's approaching at this level of his career. Knowing that, Lauren, it's not going to be him kind of joining a team and sitting back and being just a fragger or somebody who does it. He's taking a lot of ownership, I feel like, in how well his team does. And that's, to me, pushed him to a new level of maturity, ownership, and responsibility, but also I think a new chance for this 100 Thieves roster to really do something, especially with Jin Burton joining the likes of him and Design.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, for anyone who's been in the Apex Legends community for a long time, we've seen Timmy grow a lot from the Pathfinder trick play moments all the way up to where we are here in Japan for ALGS, and I do agree with that. I feel like we've seen a lot of maturity over those years, and they just feel more grounded as a trio. Like, they've looked really solid when it came to their scrims play. And I know he said doesn't like Newcastle, but this meta could work for them.
It could. I mean, are you know, questioning still the mesh of Jin Burton hopping into this team? I mean, this is a former DSG, you know, roster, but without enemy, and obviously Jin Burton, who was displaced, no longer with Falcons.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it's tough for Timmy to go from a team with, you know, the Walty and a team that he has vibes with going from the Designful where everything's hectic and stressful to the good vibes where everyone is like loving each other back to Designful, and then you don't have enemy anymore to like at least be like that really good spirited person. Jen Burton, you know, he dealt with Zero before. He's not like combative or anything. It's not like that, but it's a different mesh of things. And I think it's tough going from great to like back to that, and it's going to be interesting to see on the stage.
You know, I feel like it's funny that we get a chance to talk about the personalities, how they impacted so much. But it's true. Going from Designful to somewhere else to back to Designful is a little bit of a joke in our community. But it's true. I mean, that type of personality, it urges you to perform. If not, it's going to let you know about it, Jamerson. And but it feels like, Timmy, on the second round, you know, this is championships. There's no excuses anymore. You got to make it work, right?
Yeah. And honestly, with the kind of time crunch that a lot of people were underneath, I completely understand. And Jen Burton needed to find a home. It would be criminal if he wasn't at this slam whatsoever, especially with the last couple of years of performance that he's had. So I'm glad that they were able to get him in and that he will be joining the squad. Like Snipedown said, though, he has come out from the fire. He knows what it's like to be between two heated personalities in Hal and Zero. So I think he will kind of, in his own awkward way, slot in extremely well on that roster.
That's what I'm saying, baby. It's different.
Hopefully when we go to Japan
with teammates that are loud
for who knows what.
I'm certain that 100 Thieves will hope that it does this time around, and all of its Timmy fans around the world. And Jim Burton, shout out. I don't know if your parents are here this time around, man, but shout outs as well to Papa and Mama Jim Burton. Good luck to him. Let's talk a new addition, not in players. We have so many teams and rosters we'll key you in on as these games are getting set up. We appreciate you guys hanging with us while we get ready to go. But a new map that's in the rotation. This was the introduction in championships, E-District. Snipe, as somebody who plays, and obviously, you know, we're still in the process of learning, what's been your experience seeing E-District come into not only Apex Legends, but the ALGS, and now be featured here on day one?
I think, honestly, it's so cool going from the beginning where Kings Canyon is kind of like a rundown map to this like futuristic, giant skyscraper buildings where, like, you know, that's what we were given to start. It's like, oh, and then now we're here. And seeing a new map put into the pool, I've talked nonstop about how I think E-District is going to be the most important map this tournament. It's going to come down to who is the most prepared. And my thing is, I mean, look at all the different choke points on this map. It's actually really tough to get through some of these areas from some of these POIs. Some you have to loot faster, others you play edge and rotate around and loot up. My thing is, I would be surprised to see some maybe Valkyries on this map, because I think getting the perk and getting over the wall and getting to the spots with 2 support defensive legends on top of that could be a play later in the tournament when it starts to get more congested, because we know the difference in scrims versus live events and how important it is to get there as fast as possible.
Things do get congested in E-District. That's one thing. Rotations and timing. There's been some great knowledge released by coaches and analysts on Twitter about that. 30 seconds could be the difference between arriving within top 10 or arriving completely out of top 15 into top 18 in those spots, and basically facing down a ton of charge rifles and Nemesis as you try to walk it in. Of course, as we look to start this off, Championships is here. We have to talk ourselves about who we think is going to do well. Group A versus B. We set up some talent predictions like usual, and it's time to reveal who we've gone with. I'm going with, come on, the tried, the true, the classic. North America lost to APAC North in LA. Well, maybe North America is going to return the favor here in APAC North. TSM to start it off. Glitter, you went Fnatic. That makes a lot of sense. And you know, that was a great choice as well.
Snipe was just so convincing with everything he was saying. I couldn't get him out of my head. And, you know, hometown advantage, kick it off here strong in groups, right?
Yeah. And Jamerson, no difference here. Snipe went with TSM. Jamerson, you went Fnatic. So we got a little split, Jamerson, on the board here.
I don't know what happened. You know, just I was back there in the green room. They were like pumping Mrs. Green Apple like over the speaker, and I was just feeling it. So yeah, I am definitely here for the home crowd advantage for Fnatic, and I definitely think that they have a really excellent map draft for this group stage. They should be able to take a win.
Reddit, also, we are including your picks this time around, which means that you get a chance to beat all of us, which is a fun little game we get to play. But I'm with you this time around, so we're staying the same. The other thing that we want to mention that is really important is you could hear the crowd in Daiwa House is, of course, if you are watching, there is a way to earn some goodies. Now, I know that a lot of you will want to see that, but if you are also wanting to watch in your own way, well, we've got a surprise for you there. Face It Watch is back. That means that you have a chance to watch the ALGS your way. You want to hear a voice comm that maybe you wouldn't hear on main broadcast unless they went to a listen-in. You want to see a rotation of the team that you told your friends is going to take it all. Reddit, you want to watch TSM and join me and Snipe and prove that they're going to win? Well, make sure you catch every rotation by going to Face It Watch. Faceit.com/watch. You can check out the ALGS your way. Also, Twitch drops, as I alluded to earlier, as you are watching, whether on Face It And on Twitch, you will have a chance to earn some goodies throughout the week. Wednesday, we're kicking off with the ALGS Championship Trophy sticker. You just need to watch for 30 minutes to claim. Make sure you catch every rotation by going to Faceit Watch. Faceit.com/watch. You can check out the ALGS your way. Also, Twitch drops, as I alluded to earlier, as you are watching, whether on Faceit and on Twitch, you will have a chance to earn some goodies throughout the week. Wednesday, we're kicking off with the ALGS Championship Trophy sticker. You just need to watch for 30 minutes to claim that. Each day, we'll have a new prize, a new weapon skin, a new character skin, a new holo spray. And on Sunday, the gold Nessie gun charm with the championship trophy. That's pretty hype. I gotta say, that's looking good.
Every time we get these Twitch drops, I have to remember to make sure that I get at least the match point finals day one.
Right. So we'll see. Good luck with your Twitch drops. Good luck with our 40 teams because they're about to kick it off. I'm not in house, but I'm hype anyways. So it's time to introduce our casters, two beautiful human beings dressed ready to go and impress with our first cast. It's Dia.
Thank you very much, Randy. That's a good way to start things off, Graceful, as we are that much closer, so incredibly close to beginning the first game. I'm glad that we have a second to talk about what we are going to see, because our analyst desk has set things up really well, but Graceful, we're starting things off on a map that we have not seen played in the ALGS before. E-District is going to require a lot of time to break down, and that's to say nothing of the teams and the roster shakeups that our analyst desk already alluded to moments before. Game 1 is booting up as we speak, and so let's start thinking about what the next couple of maps will look like. This will be E-District where we start off. We'll do the first 2 matches there, and then we'll move over to Stormpoint, at which point we'll do 2 matches there, and then World's Edge. Old, familiar, whatever you think of World's Edge, that's where we're ending.
Yeah, I think that starting on E-District, which I believe most teams are deeming as the most balanced one due to the fact that they haven't been prioritizing picking wise on this map and mainly focusing on World's Edge and Stormpoint. I think people want to have a solid, stable start, and with the fact that this map is so easy to rotate on as well, I think we'll see some fast rotates rather than late.
Yeah, I'd imagine that on E-District, a map that really rewards people being able to get into buildings. It kind of reminds me of old World's Edge, back before we broke a bunch of buildings apart and removed a lot of the city structures. And instead, when we had so much safety that you could hold on to, early rotations were super valuable, and I think it'll reward a lot of teams who saw me pick Guild. I know that we were discussing maybe some disagreements about that, but it will reward, say, maybe teams like Guild that are looking for more of a zone-heavy playstyle.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, early rotates will happen, and like you said before, everybody's playing around buildings, but the scariest part is when you get held out by normal weapons, you get kind of scared. Yeah. Getting held out by 7 billion Sheilas, however, is a vastly different feeling, and I also agree with you in terms of, Guild being capable of closing it out potentially, but there are plenty of strong teams here, but we cannot forget that the meta we're currently in with the amount of support players, and even if you get openers, and even if you get downs, it's a lot harder to close out fights, and longer fight means higher chance for 3P, and it doesn't go as easy as just 3v3 nowadays.
No, there is a very high barrier to execution, and we got the chance to watch a few of the scrims yesterday, you and I, Graceful. I'm really curious what now the changes between what we saw yesterday and today will be. We're going to start things off nice and easy on E-District. There's not too much to worry about, as we don't have a lot of teams that are going to fight early, and like you said, there's a lot of ability to reset at any given point.
Yeah, so I mean, as I said before as well, and speaking from yesterday, we saw a little bit of a, maybe 15 teams alive very early on. I think we'll see the same redeeming factor here, where plenty of teams will be alive. In scrims, we tend to see a little bit less. Teams try to push the limits, try to take fights that they normally might not have taken. But however, now that we're live on land, first game, people are still feeling a little bit jittery, just woke up, good night's sleep, bad night's sleep, could have been several factors. However, I think we will not see many fights, especially seeing where the zone might be ending, closer towards the center of the map as well. We'll see a lot of teams alive for sure here, Dia.
You know what's curious is I heard Snipedown talking about the potential Valkyrie pick on E-District just to get over a lot of areas that might otherwise be impassable due to the map. It's funny that there's only one team doing that. Meteor is the only team that's really prioritized running the Valkyrie at all, and that'll, I hope, be helpful to them, since you are giving up other picks, like, say, the Catalyst, like the Rampart, in order to do so. Virtus Pro gonna drop back down. It seemed like they had a good rotation.
Yeah, no, that was hard because they were trying to take an evac, but if they stuck it, the last guy would have 100% been blasted off the evac. They opted to triple drop, make sure that if somebody goes down, we're ready to reset. I think it's a safer bet than praying that everybody gets off the balloon, because losing one early, although it's easier to get them back into the game in this meta, not ideal. That's a good play in my opinion. Very safe.
Yeah, it really is.
Lo dapat satu anjing.
Easier, perhaps, than it has been to get people back in the game, but when they get full thirsted further away from you, as fun just was, that's when things can get really tricky. It does look like Pajamas have picked a fight as well, and that's going to be up against Virtus Pro from earlier. Quick reset coming in. He's going to have Slayer at nearly full HP, but that nade solves a problem quickly, and Ninjas and Pajamas with a re-knock should have secured at least 1 KP as Zach and Lou run for the hills.
Ninja starting up really hot, saying, hey, we saw you guys hop off the balloon, we're not ready to go. And C9 even joining in on the action because, like I said, teams are rotating early. Teams are already setting up. Now they're getting picked. VP is getting picked apart, and it's not a good
They're just going to keep running on by. They do have a nice bit of Evo to collect in front of them, and we looked at the ring a little bit earlier, Graceful, so it's worth noting as well that as much as the Ninjas may enjoy picking up KP, they've also already got a fantastic spot in zone, which is a style that they very much like to play.
Yeah, Nasky has always been looking to play early, like rotates ever since I've been competing with him for the past 5 years. Always been looking to be fast rotates, take the kills, and always good at reining it, like dialing it back down on the pace a little bit. We might have gotten a pick and been hungry, but we're happy with that. We're going to move to the objective, which I think is really important to stay disciplined.
Green Stego, who you might know as Makers from the last LAN, have shown up and already gotten pretty aggressive. They're making it work up against Oblivion, who have just Blinkser left. Now, Oblivion did qualify through the North American LCQ to be here. This first game maybe not going the way that they had imagined on White Shields with 1 person left, but Blinkser is the sneakiest Gibby I've ever seen.
Very sneaky indeed. I think he has the potential due to the fact that, you know, plenty of craftings around them as well nearby. The real question is, it's all about timing. Can you make it back out into the outer circle while not trying to run into the teams that have been stacked? It's all about timing. Could happen a little bit hard, but we'll have to see.
Take a look at the south.
Ngering banget tengah gini, bro.
Gokil. This could be very interesting as Fnatic started at Street Market, have not yet moved,
but
now have somebody who's going to be cutting them off on the rotation, forcing Fnatic to mirror them likely.
Yeah, Fnatic playing the same setup as I believe they do on Stormpoint as well, liking to play a little bit more on the edge, grabbing objectives, making sure they're strong and healthy going into the fights. Whereas, like, if you early rotate, you might be able to, you know, charge up your Evos and get ready to fight. But when you come in late with the zone, you're stacked, you're juiced, you're not afraid of anybody. And if anything, that's Fnatic's playstyle. They know mechanically they're super gifted and they're ready for bubble fights more than anyone, I would like to say, in this meta. And if they're also stacked, I don't think they'll be scared of fighting anybody, and that's the go-to.
Tahun kemarin nama jadi coach kan
now. Yeah. You're able to make it out to a point of the map where no one else cares to be around zone 2, then you are going to be a very happy person. Perhaps not as happy as you were when gold knockdown shields were just everywhere. that was a wild time in Apex, although, you know, in many ways.
Yeah, lo Rampart amazing.
With support legends, maybe we don't need gold knockdown shields.
Yeah, but speaking of gold, you know, I'm looking for that select fire charge rifle. I want to see that bad boy in action because that's one of the
Rampart
anjir. This meta as well. And I think, as we can see as well, a lot of people are opting for more sniper action. And charge rifle, honestly, with select is scary.
Yeah, very much so. I'm surprised to see that Complexity didn't pick one up. I mean, Kimchi is going to be rocking mid-range with the 30, but I'm most curious when it comes to snipers, what Monsoon has been able to pick up, and I'm not seeing him run a traditional sniper. Instead, he got stuck with a triple take due to an early rotation.
Yeah, early rotation, that's kind of one of the things you have to give up, is that, hey, are we going to rotate early? We might have less
live saja,
but if you're in a spot when you're playing, you have to remember there's plenty of consistency. And
Aing
I
yakin
always
dia
say
banyak
this,
yang
5
nge-report
points
soalnya
on
mainnya
average per
edan
game,
banget
you're
anjing.
gonna make top 10 cutoff, give or take
Kayak dapat
plus
kill
minus
ke
5.
15,
And I think
20.
that's what they're opted for. Triple take or not, it's still a good close range weapon to, you know, compete a little bit with shotgun because it's a jiggle peek weapon and that's enough for a bubble fight.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to the G7 in that way, where you can actually output good mid-range damage, although I'd say the G7 in a slightly better spot right now, specifically due to the hop-up.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would definitely say for mid-range and longer ranges, but if depending on what they're using it as, you know, close-range shotgun, if you don't find a shotgun, because now everybody's running shotgun. If you don't have a triple take, could fit that for the moment. Scout, however, definitely, if you want to go for the mid-range poke, it's way better, I think. Always been solid.
Yeah. The Scout has had very few times outside of favor.
Udah pakai loba euy.
To touch on what's going on right now, Meteor, who we're mirroring 100 Thieves, they're off in the northwest, and honestly, not too much is happening over here. The biggest focus for the northwest would be if
pakai kalau
eventually
nggak salah
Meteor and 100 Thieves both have to
pakai
go through guild.
rampart
This choke
anjing.
point could get a little interesting.
Semuanya anjing
Right
sekarang
now,
pakai anjing.
really nobody's had to move at all from
Asalkan
the center of the
meta
map.
nate
Energy Bank
Newcastle,
just
Gibi
like the
sama
place to be until eventually
tadi
we have to start
teh
leaving buildings.
Katalis
Yeah,
ya.
and leaving buildings is scary because
Parang
now we're
anjing
seeing,
yang pakai
you know,
rampart
the collapsations
gel
on
anjing.
both northern
Kalau
side
si
and southern
Abreli,
side is that even though
dia
you're getting held out for
April,
one
aduh
team,
lebar anjing,
depending on
mana
how many
yang
layers there
bikin
are, you might be
nyatainya.
thirded or even fourth partied. And I think it's definitely scary because nowadays, even if you bubble to survive, another team bubbles on top of you and you're immediately in a fight again. It's scary because the gap closing in this map specifically is a lot easier than other maps due to the fact there's so many obstacles that you can hide behind. Rather than, you know, Storm Point on World's Edge, you're kind of in the open, you're stuck in the open. Here you have cars, boxes, like we see there, a train, a bus, a small hut. You got everything to just gap close, and sometimes you don't even see it because there's so many corridors and nooks and crannies, right?
And then you've got the whole compositions of
Dan,
bubbles,
kaget, bro.
castles and Catalyst. See a lot of people running Catalyst as well. Burhol's choosing to run the Rampart.
Kalau itu bis anjing di bantai.
Here, and as much as this cover of the truck looks good, FaZe, who are up to the north of TSM, are really suffering. And Source X and Y are near there. They could get into this fight. FaZe get another bubble up, but X and Y do have to retreat. But FaZe do get one knocked. Cinetic back down. I'm very curious to see whether they survive.
Yeah, I think though they only sent one. Whoa, another fight though. Big bubble fight speaking of, and even that cost.
And that's Oblivion, gone. Our first team
gacor,
out,
bro.
despite having made it back to
Jack
all
Major.
3 players. That was a really difficult game for them, of course, as Oblivion did get set back early, but it's Virtus Pro that end up collecting the kills.
Caustic, we can't forget about how Caustic has dominated previous metas as well. And we always, you know, use a combo Gibby and Caustic. And that's not gone. The synergy is still there between characters. We didn't really get to see the whole fight unfold, but I'm sure that they had good, you know, a good solid bubble fight.
I mean, that is one promise that this meta is absolutely going to fulfill. We are going to get a lot of nice bubble fights, especially when we reach the later stages of this game. It has been a pretty calm one so far, having only lost 1 team. And I suspect that even on the next zone close, we lose 3-4 teams maximum.
And also, looking at the top left right here, it says loot bins will reset. What does this mean, really? Everybody gets stacked that's on the outer edge or close to any bins, really. Is that, you know, I think that you might have been even overstacked. You get gold stuff, you get everything.
And right now, one of the teams that I am absolutely thinking of when
si
we're
Jesco
looking
ya?
at this loop-in reset
iya,
is
Jesco
Fnatic, who were playing on the slow rotate really early on, who are still doing exactly that. They are down in the south with Green Stego, and Fnatic, Green Stego, and TSM are going to have a lot to contend over.
Speaking of TSM, they've been sitting in their spot forever, whereas Fnatic has been going around charging up, and they're going to be more than enough ready to take on TSM and even Green Stego, I believe.
FaZe starting to move in. They do lose Nags, however, and this is FaZe after the relocate from the truck. They don't actually end up making the push, and instead get shut down by Virtus Pro again. We're seeing that Caustic work.
This is the crazy part about Caustic. Since we are fighting in corridors,
Berat
and
gitu
stuff,
anjing,
gas
udah
alone will pressure you so much because you can't stay in the gas.
Itu dia SG lihat.
Caustic will start dominating you. And if you run out into the open, you either have to use your utility to stay alive, the defensive, or you have to take the fight in gas. Like, which one do you really pick? BP been making Caustic work really well so far.
And they have already surpassed what you set as sort of the base expectation for what you should do in a game. 5 points a game, they've already got 6, and we're not even in top 15 yet. Virtus Pro opening up this game in a very aggressive fashion that I didn't expect from them compositionally.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy seeing that, but now we're also seeing other teams start collapsing. The next zone is moving towards the east side of the center, and this doesn't have that many playable areas, I'm not gonna lie, because all the playable areas actually got moved, the zone pulled away from it. We're gonna see a huge collapse on the west and north side. I think whoever wins the southern side and to the southern east side, unless they get competitive from the north late, might actually take home the game. I'm looking at the likes of Fnatic and TSM, which we're seeing on our screens right now. Are they gonna play nice and play together, or is somebody gonna take over?
And like you said, Fnatic, they are way more looted up, but TSM have been here since the dawn of time. They already know all the teams in the area. Fnatic are gonna have to adapt quickly. 100 Thieves do not make the cut, however, being taken out by the Ninjas in Pajamas. Fnatic, with a nice setup, look pretty unpushable right now, but TSM are trying to keep their neighbors honest, as these two will be right next to each other.
Yeah, they're just playing nice together right now. The whole thing comes to the zone after this one closes. So zone 4 closing is where the action will happen. But we also see Source X and Y sneaking up on the southeast side I was just talking about. Now we'll see who actually gets to control the southern zone, because all the teams on the west are just going to end up collapsing each other. Same for the north side. I really want to see on the southern side what ends up happening, because that's honestly where the big action will happen later on.
Fnatic are pinging the truck that FaZe were playing just a few minutes ago. We know how risky that truck can be, and I don't think it's gotten a lot better this zone close. In fact, it may have gotten worse, but what are Fnatic's best options here? Because they're sandwiched between two teams right now, pushing the high ground is going to be terrible for them. They get shot in the back by TSM. Pushing TSM, they get shot by X and Y.
Be the bread. Right now, they're the ham. We don't want to be in the middle, and you need to make the option. I think rotating towards the truck could work due to the fact that you're now holding out TSM if you do that play, because if you pick a fight on either sides, you know for sure Source X and Y or TSM will 3P the opposite. So I think making a play for the ban, or even deeper, could be an option.
TSM walked up to that. They almost got a knock as well. Zapka getting very aggro to back up Verhulst, since he's of course got the defensive tool of the bubble to make Verhulst that much safer. And it did force a bubble out of Fnatic as well, which is huge because it means that Fnatic cannot rotate until that bubble is back up off cooldown.
Yeah, this rotate will be really hard, because as you see, X and Y on the screen is looking to just gate, like, they're just trying to hold them out. Regardless of who it is, we're going to focus them and they trade. We can clean this up and we have the entire side. But we can also see like the likes of Virtus Pro looming, NRG looming. Everybody's slowly inching in towards the zone, and fights are starting to happen, like I said, on the west side. And our Ninja's going to mop up more teams, because they've also been low-key under the game, but they've been consistently getting kills as well.
Ninjas are playing on the edge, just like Fnatic were. Fnatic actually making this rotation work. Remember, we called out the Dome as being a particularly useful cooldown to make this rotate. They use it, they make the rotate work, and now I hesitate to say that TSM is in that much more trouble. I think this is still a really nice position for TSM to play, albeit one that's a little more exposed to Gibby ultimates.
Definitely more exposed. The issue is not really their positioning in that house, it's how well do they get pinched by the team coming in from the west side. We saw the likes of Ninjas cleaning up Green Stego, EXO also being closer nearby.
PSG win, bro.
It all honestly depends on who the focus is on, because if you have
anjing nyayu ratunya. Siapa yang pakai
being
Maggie?
in that small bunker is not that good.
Yeah, this is where Virtus Pro.
Yeah,
Kebanggaan anjing.
They throw the little stinker right in
there. Oh iya, dalam ini anjing
it's
SR. Bukan sampai
I wonder if
Rebellion
Virtus
anjing.
Pro will actually get to see any of this, because they're playing a little further north, sort of in the open area, where Caustic isn't going to get nearly as much value as he has throughout the rest of the game. So perhaps by virtue of where they're standing, but we've got a couple fights breaking out meanwhile, and Meteor have come into third. Say fourth party fight as both Cloud9 and VK Gaming do go down. This is more of a cleanup by Meteor. They didn't start the fight, but they sure finished it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the fight there. 3Bs, like we said about the collapse. So we see plenty of fights getting taken right now. I think though VP is still in the same spot where they cleaned up them underneath in the tunnel earlier. Now we're seeing more shotgun fights, more bomb fights,
gue ternyata anjing.
And I'm all for it. Guild going down. Shopify Rebellion applying pressure with the Sheila. This is the sort of spray and pray mechanic with the Sheila. Newcastle res gonna go off for TSM. This is up against the Ninjas who do go down. It's a nice shot by Verhulst with the minigun to get everybody back to safety.
Yeah, and seeing Ninjas get eliminated, it just opens up for EXO because they definitely keep track of the
Yes,
kills.
I'm
Saying,
through.
hey
Yes, I'm
guys,
through.
they
Yes, I'm
traded,
through.
we cleaned this up,
Anjing.
and TSM
Nice.
gets small.
Through, I
And
think.
now
Yes,
Fnatic
I'm.
decides to join the fray as well. The fight for the Southern has now started. Sourcex and Y still looking to just hold them out, but Fnatic is slowly pulling off and say, hey, you guys can keep the loot. We want our space to rotate in. You know, we don't want to both die here because we're both getting held out. Let's just split our ways and see what happens.
And even after they come back, Fnatic give up the space that they
Dan, gacor anjir.
and continue their fight. Maybe Fnatic comes back, but up against Disguised, I'm not sure who's going to win this. Exo Clan do go down. Disguised get the res. Virtus Pro fall as well. And we are down to just 8 teams as Fnatic look for a fight and end up claiming one. X and Y have lost just a single player, but with Source giving up their position, Fnatic know that it's their time to take the high ground.
This is the biggest opportunity for Fnatic that I've seen. Virtus Pro decided to engage on X and Y, or vice versa. We couldn't really see how it unfolded. Fnatic has an opportunity to clean the southeast side.
Nyayur bro, dia sih bro.
Earlier. If they clear this space and they can push everybody else into each other and be the bread, they might take home this game.
They're playing very patiently right now. I think Fnatic are aware that by continuing on that rotate, by continuing to push Source X and Y, they can have teams come up behind them. Right now, the teams that are surviving are having to play patient, and that includes Meteor, who would just, again, went on a third-party rampage, helping clean up Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, the hardest part about this now is that seeing DSG and Complexity fight on the west side of the map is you opt for high ground or low ground, Dia. There's the tunnel underneath where the zone is in as well as on top.
Yuna ini nyangkut sih ya, ini si player K ini.
Now player K has got to commit. This Mastiff is working for him. Hits the res real quick, and Arctic is going to get pushed.
Ya, snapping blame di TP.
And they are down. Complexity turning things around
Esport.
behind the Newcastle wall.
Anggur Esport
Now it
turun,
comes
bro.
down to the top 4 only, right? And it's so much space to play that I think teams
Ya, lo
are just
terbang
looking
bisa
to
ini.
guarantee their own space, slowly inching forward. But
Oh,
like I
Valkyrie
said,
ini.
are you opting for
Oke.
low ground or high ground?
Nice
I
ya,
think
bro,
high
ini.
ground wins the game, but do you get thirded if you take the fight against Meteor that's currently on top? Or do you go for the safer bet of saying, hey, we just play for second place, let's go down below? But
bro.
either or, if both teams do
Yeah,
it,
bro.
you might end up being the wrong play or the right play.
Yeah, I like the idea of high ground a little more, if only because you can see what's coming. This is the problem with where Fnatic are at right now, is that having opted into low ground, there are a lot of teams that can come at you that you cannot see coming unless you're actively peeking them. Whereas Meteor on top are going to own the bridge. It's now Complexity, Source X, and Y that really get to decide who gets the advantage in this game. And Source X and Y no longer get that say.
Yeah, Source X and Y getting out now. Fnatic already underneath. Now it comes down to whether or not Complexity fights Fnatic on the bottom. But if either or decides to fight the top, all you need is one evac to join the fray up top, and you can close out the game with a big 3-peat.
Complexity have to make a decision though, because it really does come down to if they do nothing, then they just die, and they die for free. Complexity have managed to climb a little bit further up onto the high ground, and this bubble is buying them some really nice time, but already we've seen the mobile minigun tear through the rampart cover. Complexity are going to have to take a fight, leaving this open for Fnatic. This fight does mean that Fnatic, knowing that it's going on, could third party.
Yeah, Fnatic sitting outside of the bushes right now saying, hey, you guys fight, we'll join the fray later. Complexity, however, used all their utility. Is gonna get
Elo, anjing, RT cos, habis paling banget.
With the Mastiff, does find the first knock, but it's answered back, and Fnatic do show up on the high ground. Now they've preemptively used the bubble. It's a Peacekeeper in the hands of Leica, and Maltstera already whipping out the mobile minigun, takes out Complexity. They have got very little resistance in front of them as Fnatic set up the third party, watch it happen, and come in, taking the very first win in Japan!
I told you about Fnatic! It's the home stage, they are good at bubble fighting, they decided to opt for low ground, join the fray later on high ground, they closed out the game. Honestly, the last 3v3 wasn't even close, they just mopped the fights easily. Humongous game to start the day on, especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very well-played game from Fnatic, and to me, it wasn't so much about the end game, which was very good from them, but it was really about the mid game, and specifically the transition that they have from right next to TSM, sandwiched between TSM and Source X and Y, to then take the cart that made the biggest difference.
Yeah, and you know, we saw early on, maybe for the 2 full zones actually, they were on the outer edges just looting, just getting objectives, looting. But the biggest part about, you know, playing macro is you need to pick which side you come in from. They started northwest, they went all the way southwest, decided to offer southeast, and it was great really because now they just had a 3v3, got into the train. They didn't even make the opportunity themselves, by the way.
Gak enak suara casternya ini.
Fantastic, and it's a 22-point game now for Fnatic. Meteor do come in behind them, and Meteor really impressing in this first game. That's 14 points to Complexity's then 10, who come up in third.
Udah anjing
Complexity
kill paling banyak,
really had a
poin 12,
difficult
baru
decision
udah
to make
enjoy.
in that last game. I don't really think that there was a way that Complexity could have won.
Yeah, Complexity top 3 here as well with Meteor and the likes of Fnatic winning that game. Yeah, Complexity didn't have much room to make plays here, but you know what you have to do? You never play for the win. For consistency, they could have gotten second with 3 kills. Instead, they opted to say, hey, let's just play slow, hope that they
Iya,
fight.
salah.
I would say opt for
Salahin
the
na ini,
3v3,
ngalayarnya
get the
ini,
kills and die second,
rampatnya
and
di
you have
depan,
more
ini
points
rampatnya
on
di
average.
belakang,
It's way
ini
better than
ketutup ini.
hoping that something happens in your favor. Always stay
Bro, layarnya
proactive,
lupa.
because when you're reactive, a lot of the times, it doesn't work out.
So when you say that Complexity could have gotten second, do you mean by going onto the low ground and fighting Fnatic?
Yes, I think either or. Either you up top, you use
minusnya,
your
weh.
utility to fight immediately what happened to them, they get pinged over the top and they died, right?
Yeah,
They either do that to Meteor, or they opt for the 3v3 down below. But regardless, they just go for kills, because that's the best way, because realistically, you're not going to win that game, and you just need to make sure you get as many points on the table as possible, and I think taking a 3v3 and thirsting whatever you can is the best way.
Yeah. There is a lot to digest after this first game, and it's already a very exciting one. We heard the crowd getting excited, but it's time for us to take a very short break as Game 2 on E-District will be coming up in just a few minutes.
Goes down.
Oh no, he turned into that, turned into that.
They went to make a gondola play.
And Reptar dies. And I have the moist POV.
Oh, this is bad. Wait,
no.
Fun gets one on the Waltzy.
Oh my god, what's going on right now? NRG now moving in.
He goes down.
Wait.
It's a 1v1.
Oh my god. Oh my god!
Mastiff!
Moist is eliminated. DF now dead. Are you kidding me?
Then Zone 3 gondola play.
Taking the plaudits so far with 2 victories. You better believe Not Moist will be there with the conversation of potential teams to be lifting this trophy. There's Monsoon, the last remaining player who just try and survive here. He's going to have to go all the way final.
And we are back. Welcome back to Japan, everyone. I guess you could still have been on break in Japan, But I like to think that when you're here with us, Graceful, that's when you're really experiencing not just the best that Japan has to offer here in Sapporo, but the best that Apex Legends has to offer here at the championship. Game 2 is going to get revved up and underway quite soon, but before we jump into it, I want to talk a little bit more about Game 1. We discussed the end game in some depth, but let's go a little further back and talk about the mid game. Virtus Pro was doing really well for a little while, and we saw this southern side that you mentioned very early on was going to be very impactful, then turn out to be exactly that way. What made you say so early on that the south side was going to have a huge influence, disproportionate influence on the game that it did?
So the biggest thing is that when you're early rotating, you're really looking to read where does the zone end. Yep. When you're late rotating, you're honestly just looking to make sure that you're not getting into the chokes or getting collapsed on by 10 teams. Fnatic did just that by looting 2 entire zones, making sure they get objectives, pick the right side, which was the southern side, because they saw that, hey, people are going to rotate in from the north and the west. They decided to go for the southern side. Like I said, that's the most impactful one. That's your opening. But they weren't there alone. They were there with the likes of TSM, also the likes of...
We had TSM and we had... was it Green Stego that rotated through there?
They came in late.
They came in late.
But not only that as well is that...
Source X and Y was there.
Source X and Y is the team I was referring to, but VP was already in center underneath in the tunnel trying to gatekeep out.
Yes.
X and Y tried to force the fight. They ended up fighting, opened up for Fnatic to come in.
Yeah.
And all of this happened because what we opted to say was in the beginning, is this a good rotate into that little buzz?
Yeah.
Now they're in a vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
However, TSM got flanked by EXO.
Yeah.
And that opened up for Fnatic to 3P the VP fight as well.
You know, I actually had a question about the bus because I remember when we were looking at that possible rotation for Fnatic, it seemed like their best option, but to me, it also appeared a deadly one. Mostly because we had seen FaZe play that truck earlier, and FaZe, they got obliterated. They had very little to do.
The biggest thing about taking these, like, you have to take risks to win big. And taking risk is really important because if you don't do it, but it's also timing based. You said that FaZe got obliterated in it. They went a little bit too early. Everybody was already set up. There was no pressure. Everybody can just punish them. There's nothing scary around them. When the zone is closing, however, and you now have to keep track of, wow, there's 3 teams on the southern side. We can't just poke everybody. We need to make sure we don't get pushed. That's when you really see, you know, openings. And that happened. EXO opened up the western side and allowed Fnatic to rotate and 3P the east side with no threats at all. That opened up that side for them. They secured the bottom, and now they could climb for the win.
And now, I know that if you're just tuning in, you may be hearing Graceful and I talk about this match and going, well, I sure wish that I saw what they were talking about. And just in case that is you, let's take a look back at how last match played out. So, Graceful, because we were talking about the Fnatic rotation up, let's look a little bit further down at those teams that we were talking about. I want to start with Virtus Pro, because we've made passing mention of them quite a bit. We did not see their position. We did not see how they fell. Virtus Pro's spot, however, did look good with Caustic, and I'd say that they looked unexpectedly good this game with Caustic.
Yeah, the biggest thing about Virtus Pro is that they actually got forced off of their rotate. They tried to balloon earlier, got forced off by ninjas in pajamas. Now they were kind of forced because they got thirsted twice, I think, and they even had to reset. And I don't know if they opted for that spot initially or if they got forced into that spot, but playing that really well simply due to the fact that they had a Caustic.
Yeah, I mean, Caustic was really valuable to them. Weirdly, not so much as a defensive tool, but as an offensive tool.
Yeah.
And then, by necessity only, as a defensive tool. It's funny how we are in a meta where we don't see nearly as many controller legends that actually provide you things that support legends do not. It's more of on top of what the support legends give you. You're not going to hold space with just Rampart, just Watson, just Caustic. You're going to do it by amplifying that with things like Newcastle and Gibraltar as well. Now, of course, that we've got our first match done, I do want to remind everyone that we will be returning to E-District. So if you were just reeling from that last match and going, I wish that I understood how E-District could play out, perhaps if we're not going to the center of the map, then we'll have the opportunity to find out. Energy Bank was an exciting endgame, but there's a lot more of E-District to see.
Yeah, I'm personally hoping for anywhere on the southern side because I'm a big fan of Draft Point. That's my favorite part of the map. What's your favorite part of the map, Theo?
Isn't that because you land at Draft Point?
Indeed it is. It's good rotates, good fast looting. You have plenty of fights to take. It's plenty full of action, but the biggest part is that in this map, you don't feel like I could not have done anything different because you're never really getting stuck at chokes here. There's so many crooks and crannies, mazes, 5 different doors you can take that you never really feel like everything is out of your control. And I think that's a great feeling to have. And it's hard to replicate, but they really made this map super well.
Yeah. I mean, there is not just a lot of cover when you move from space to space, but even inside buildings, I think that there's a lot of nice space to play. In contrast to, say, something like Stormpoint, the buildings play very differently.
Yeah.
Stormpoint, it feels like there's an ingress into almost every building from every angle. So buildings are really kind of fake. Like, you stand in one and you're like, I am essentially out in the open just creatively. And, and when we're on E-District, being inside can actually really protect you, but it does come at the cost of you having limited influence as well. Our game 2 has started, but it has also stopped. And so we're going to wait for that to get going before we truly start breaking down where everyone is landing and what's going on there. To answer your previous question, though, I'd like to go to Galleria.
Galleria, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I just really dislike looting it, but
it is
beautiful. I'll give you that.
Yeah. You know, I was surprised. So I don't like looting Street Market, so I was surprised to see Fnatic over at Street Market. I know that it's a good POI, but from a loot path perspective, it is a very inconvenient place to land.
Yeah, but you have to remember their place. Like, most of them picks, you know, towards their playstyle, and if you're late looting, it's inconvenient, but there's a lot of loot. You have plenty of time, and they didn't rotate in until Circle 3, really. Or Circle 3 closing, almost, really. And that fits them, I guess. It just works for them, and it really did work for them.
And we've got the game back underway, so Graceful, it is the perfect time to see what happens in our second game of the ALGS on E-District. Fnatic, of course, back at Street Market. They had no choice. We put them back there. We were like, game 1 was so good, just do it again.
Yes, just do it again. All you have to do is loot 2 whole circles, if not more, pick the right side, and then, you know, just kill a couple of teams, right? That's easy.
Oh, you know, we haven't talked about this. Let's point this out. So I'm a big fan of Rampart, and I'm sure that a lot of our viewers, a lot of our more dedicated viewers, may already have figured this out, may have had it noticed, or may have noticed it, may have had it pointed out. Let's talk about the Nemesis, and specifically the Nemesis's interaction with Rampart.
Yeah, I mean, as we know now, when you shoot people, you actually get ult charge and also you get more shield, right? And the biggest thing is that Sheila, the thing about Sheila is very scary because when you have that weapon on your back, you actually get Sheila ammo back when you down somebody with the Sheila. And I think people are looking to do that, but not only, like, outside of sticking, you know, to the meta specifically, Rampart is really good into Newcastle. You know, before when, you know, his Q was indestructible, you could have argued differently. But now, people are going early rotates, except a couple of teams. And you want to make sure you can deny as much space as you can without wasting resources. I'm sure people would have thought that we might have seen more Lobas. And if we would have seen more Lobas, that could have negated the fact that you don't really need shield because you can have unlimited ammo and everything, right?
Yeah.
But people opted for Ramp because not only do you have the Sheila for more punishing factors on the Newcastle, you also have a little bit more defensive utility, which honestly nobody dislikes. Everybody loves, you know, feeling a little bit comfy.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this meta, defensive utility is only going to make you feel even better about the fact that you're already basically impossible to push if you set things up right. And that even goes for a team like Source X and Y, who have not gotten a lot of time to loot, have not gotten any Evo to speak of, but have a zone coming to them. And I think this is one of the metas where a lack of Evo, if you are already in a good spot in zone, is the least punishing because it is so easy to get.
Yeah, it really is, and this zone specifically, there's really 3 pulls that normally happens here. It either goes all the way south, doesn't look like that one. Could it be the one on the southeast side? And when you have a place here, this area right here has so much, like, in Humbert Labs, I mean, has so much playable area. There's like already right here where we see right now on the screen, it could be like 12 playable areas, especially now you add on to Rampart Newcastle as well. You can make that 15. I'm really looking forward to seeing a high amount of teams alive here because the action late game, impeccable.
Yeah, and right now, because there's so many spots to coexist in, there's also a lot of room for new teams to arrive. My question is how they're going to choose to do it, because I think that actually trying to land here is a little bit more difficult than simply trying to walk in because there's so much ground cover. This is one of the spots in E-District that I think it is better to walk to, especially if you're landing in this like whole quadrant of the map. Even if you're landing over an Electro Dam, I'd rather see you walk through Heights and Stadium and then try and find a place in Humbert Labs.
And also we see a little bit of aggressiveness early on. This will only last early on because now you say there's only 3 teams here. We can still pressure them. Maybe we can get a kill and a thirst, right?
Yeah.
But as we see more teams progressively, like you said, sneak in a little bit, walk in from different sides, people are going to opt to be more passive and just poke longer ranges because you don't want to accidentally have to, you know, get into an actual 3v3. You just want to poke people to make sure, hey, we're here. You don't get this for free. Just don't go to the other team, but not here.
Yeah, one of our notable teams from last match we're playing on the edge are, no surprise, once again playing on the edge. TSM made their rotate up near Heights and have now moved down through to Stadium, where they'll be able to collect a little bit of additional loot, but realistically, it's just about maintaining the slow sort of play style that you get on the edge, and hopefully for TSM, find a home in Humbert that is a little bit less conspicuous, but that lets them bully a team that otherwise may not suspect that they have a vulnerability.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing Source X and Y again because although, you know, they held out early on, they didn't have too many points, but they're still in a comfortable spot here with teams. Honestly, majority of the leaderboard are kind of comfy. They managed to get, as you can see, 6, 6, 6, 20, like there's so many points across the board except I think the bottom 4. This could still go any way because all you really need is one top 3 and you can make back for 1 or 2 bad games depending on, you know, how many kills you get.
Cloud9 going to be one of the teams that would certainly like a little bit more to have gone on last game. They did not hit that 5-point threshold that I think we can say we were all hoping for anyone. But unfortunately, not everyone's going to get to do it. So maybe this is Cloud9's game where they can move on up to 5. However, they have landed in Stadium, which is, as we just said, where we saw TSM rotating through. And it's not just TSM in the area. VK Gaming are also off to the northwest.
Yeah, and as we can see, X and Y, like I said, early on people will fight. X and Y popping off in the bubble fight, so with the EVA and only for one trade in support Manadia, not even scary.
And that's Virtus Pro that just went down, the team that was slaying out in the early game last match. This looked good for them, but X and Y.
The biggest thing is that we talked about caustic strengths, right? Inside smaller tunnels, smaller areas. This area is not that small. GAES might be good, the little big stinker coming in, not too hot because the area is too big, and, you know, X and Y just probably played a bubble foot better.
I mean, that is, I think, results-based. We can call it results-based, you know? Like, because they won,
probably played it better.
They probably played it better.
But, yeah.
If they played it worse,
they probably
but they won, they didn't play it better.
No, but I think it's definitely hard because when you have a character that's only good in, I wouldn't say niche, Caustic is better than niche, but when you're only good in certain scenarios and that scenario does not happen, you're really kind of playing 2 legends and a blank character.
Yeah, you know, it's odd. I used to feel that way about Rampart, that Rampart in a pro setting was only good in a few scenarios, but now because of Gibby Newcastle's existence, that scenario is way more often, yeah.
And not only that, she also received buffs, remember?
Yeah,
so
of course.
with the ult, and you start with the Sheila pretty much and everything else, and I think it's a good because that's, you know, seeing characters like you said, I felt that way about this character, no longer the case, means the game has progressed, evolved, and we see a little bit refreshing sides, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. What I'm seeing right now is, unfortunately, Fnatic losing 1. Leica was really split up there. You would have seen it on the minimap just a few seconds ago, but with Fnatic having only lost 1 and not anywhere close to losing more, they should have a chance to reset. This will push them even further onto the edge, where they've been rotating near Shopify Rebellion for a very long time.
The thing is this is also Ring 2 countdown. It's not scary at all. With the support meta, you have ranges pretty much unlimited on the map. They can survive for 2 more zones if they wanted to. I'm looking to see a clean reset here pretty easily.
It'll just be a